Ladies and gentlemen, it is Pouring Takes with Charlie and Rhea. Today, Rhea's part will be played by sub Brandon Kerr.
What
Take it away,
is
Charlie.
up? Welcome. Happy Monday here from Underdog Restaurant and Sports Club. This beautiful Monday, 73 degrees. Tanner, I mean, that's exciting. I remember it's been so up and down.
Man, I feel you, and it couldn't be a better time to be this weather. St. Patrick's Day's coming up. Parades are coming up. We just did the Mardi Gras parade last week.
That was a
great.
lot of fun.
Parade season.
Parade season. Let's party, bro.
We definitely are going to party. Got a great week ahead, great weekend. But first, what are we drinking here before we get into a lot of juicy sports talk?
I'm keeping it light, dog.
Yeah.
I got the Miller Lite today. It's nothing special. I need to mix it up, to be honest.
Miller
Being
Lite
on a
as
drinking
well.
podcast and only drinking garage beer.
I got some
not the
Dos
way.
Equis with my lime. So,
Is that your go-to, or what do you like to drink?
I'm more of a craft guy.
Okay. Okay.
He has to help me with this microphone here. I'm in my 40s, white guy with a beard. I like craft beer. I like IPAs. Very stereotypical, right?
Do you have a go-to, because there's so many great IPAs, what is your go-to IPA or go-to brewery?
Ooh, around here we got a lot of good ones, but I think my favorite is the Peticolas. Sit down or I'll sit you down.
Oh, that will sit you down.
Yeah, you can't have too many of them because the name does it justice, right? It's 2 or 3 of them, and you will be sitting down.
Well, I'm a big craft beer fan as well, and I used to do a craft beer podcast, and one of my favorite questions I always like to ask is, what was your first craft beer experience? Do you remember that beer? You're like, ooh, this is different.
It was probably something like Peticolas or Community.
Yeah.
Once they're kind of the older breweries around here, maybe Deep Ellum. I remember going to the Deep Ellum location and, right there on Martin Luther King and being
Rest
like,
in peace.
okay,
I know.
that was really cool. And it made me go, I need to check more of these out.
Yeah. That easy peasy, that pale ale they had
Easy
is
peasy's good.
one of my favorites today. But you mentioned Community, the Mosaic, of course, IPA is iconic now here. So so good.
Deep Ellum did such a good job with their marketing too. That Dallas
Did.
Blonde, just the yellow and pink, it popped. Like you'd go to a bar and you'd see the tap, and people would be like, "I want that."
Brilliant
so good.
can art.
Yeah, so good.
I remember they got in trouble because they had a slogan on the side of the buses that said, Dallas Blonde goes down easy.
I mean, it was.
And they had to take it off. They got in trouble, man.
Somebody didn't like that for sure.
It's funny, though.
Yeah.
Oh, those crazy Baptists. All right. What do we got on the docket today, Charlie?
Heck yeah, man. Well, first, thank you, Brandon, for subbing in here.
No worries.
Rhea, we hope you're having fun in beautiful Orlando, Florida, at Disney World. Been
Oh.
seeing all the photos,
Sounds
all
fun.
the drinks. So, but
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Riding those rides.
riding those rides. Are you a big ride fan?
Oh, I have not been to a theme park in probably 15 to 20 years.
Yeah. Same here.
Like Six Flags was fun when I was growing up, right?
Yeah.
And then I hit my mid-20s, and I was just like, now I understand why my parents were like, I don't want to be here all day.
Yeah.
They would ask, like, what time you want to get there? I'm like, what time does it open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the legit.
Immediately.
Yeah. Well, how long you want to stay? What time does it close? Like, that was my generic answer. And then I became, like, 25, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get there at noon and leave at 3.
I still get car sick sometimes, so roller coaster, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
can't do it.
Roller coasters. Hate to stand in line. Love to ride them.
There you go. Well, you just got to become popular enough, Tanner, where you just have your own,
Like a day.
yeah, or you can get there early, open hours.
I remember one time my
Empty
mother
park.
got a they took over it for the office. You were at Shep's, yeah.
Yeah.
When we worked together,
I was there that day, I believe.
They took over Six Flags, and we just had the whole park to ourselves.
Mhm.
That's
That was
crazy.
fun. Yeah, we had a good time.
No weight at all, and then you ride the giant, and that wooden roller coaster destroys your back.
Oh,
Dude,
I'm
you
sure.
just
How is
wrecked.
that still standing? I'm surprised termites haven't grabbed it.
Well, I mean, I believe they've had some incidents.
Oh
with
no,
that.
yeah, I have seen that.
We
I
were at a
just don't
baseball
know.
game one
We
time.
went to
when
the
what happened.
Ranger game
Yeah.
the night that big incident happened,
Yeah,
right? And we saw
yeah.
the ambulances and stuff, and we
Yeah.
were really confused at what happened. And then we were sitting way up in the nosebleeds at the Ranger Stadium, and kind of we're like, it's over by Six Flags, and then looking at Twitter at the time, and
Yeah.
we're like, uh-oh, here's what happened. Like, it was a big night,
bad.
right?
Yeah. Yep. Our rest in peace, lady that fell out of the car.
Yeah.
Moving on to more exciting topics. Brandon is also here because he is the now proud owner of our fantasy football trophy. He is in the Kapowski League.
Congratulations.
First 3-time winner.
First 3-time winner.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
So the Chiefs couldn't three-peat, but you could.
I did not
He
three-peat.
did not
okay.
three-peat.
I won the first 2, so I went back
Wow.
to back right at the start, and then went about 5 years without winning. So I had a little bit of a Cowboy downturn,
All right.
but then, you know,
A 30-year slump.
well,
yeah.
it was a 5-year.
Yeah.
And then won this year,
Yeah, there you go.
thanks to some
All right.
favorable
Three-time
trades that
Yeah, you're welcome.
it wasn't you, it was Keith.
Yeah, it was also Keith.
Before the season started, I was like, hey, how about this running back, Jahmyr Gibbs? And he's
Yeah.
like, I like him, but I'll trade you Saquon. I'm like, deal.
Yeah. I'll take that.
For
I'll
Amari,
buy that
for
for
Amari
$1.
Cooper, deal.
Yeah.
That was a really good trade.
Yeah. I
Who
was
was
like, thanks for just letting me win this league before it started.
Who was your quarterback?
Burrow.
Burrow. Okay. Okay.
It's an auction league, so I can't believe they let me purchase Burrow, Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, Kittle, and then let me trade for Lamb and Saquon.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got some steals there.
Yeah, I traded Lamb. I was really out on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, I
Our
know.
audience remembers.
I know
was very unhappy.
It was a rough year.
Let's take some shots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
for
it.
sure.
I'm ready to put my game face on.
We got, of course, our fireball right here for Brandon and I.
Yep.
As we
I
watch
went
the
with
Mavs
ice.
go in flames.
Let's see the ice. I went with
Yes.
Rumplemints
He always does it.
in a dirty glass.
He's a minty fellow.
Cheers,
Tanner.
everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy
To pouring
Monday.
takes.
To
Pouring
take.
takes.
Let's do it. All right. That's how you do it. Cinnamon.
Shot on a Monday night.
Oh, that's
What
how
am
you got
I?
to do.
What am I, 22?
On this show, you will be. Okay, so, we're going to dive right into it because it is Monday.
Yep.
It's free agency Monday,
Mm-hmm.
which is always exciting for everybody but the Cowboys.
Yeah, they take a nap.
But, Brandon, before we get kind of right into that, because this leads up to this, we had a couple, though, extensions. USA getting
Yep.
extended.
Which I was surprised.
I was hoping for it, but not
100%.
but not sure.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised.
'cause
Let's put it that way.
We know it's not cheap, but
Yeah.
thank God they did it, because if you look at one guy who gave it his all last season, like really stepped up when there was a lot of issues with that defense, it was a big time playmaker.
Yeah, he clogged up that middle and did a pretty good job there that the Cowboys normally do not pay for that.
No. And then restructuring of Lamb still, and then Dak still.
Yeah.
Which is a little surprising. I'm not saying not surprising, but it's just like these are things that they don't always do that we've been screaming about.
Yeah.
Like, do it. And we're like, ooh, they're cooking here. They got USA around for longer. They restructured Dak. So it's like, okay, well, who's next? Is it going to be Micah? Because we know out there the talks of like, where's Myles Garrett going to go? Wherever he's going to go, he's going to have a big payday.
Which was a problem because he
Yes.
signed yesterday. It was not good for the Cowboys.
Yes, and so now Micah, here we sit on Monday, and Micah's stock definitely goes up. I know he's talked about, I'll take a team-friendly deal, but really, we know.
No, he's talked about money way too much on his podcast
Yes.
where he's not taking a team-friendly deal.
And so now we just sit and wait. When will that deal get done? We know Cowboys still like to sit around and wait and wait.
They'll drag. They'll drag their feet, and I expect them to do that again. I wouldn't be surprised if Micah has a holdout.
Yeah.
And that Myles Garrett deal probably scared the Cowboys a lot. 'Cause
Well-
they didn't want to pay that much.
We forgot about Max Crosby last week getting a big deal too with the
Yeah.
Raiders. So it's
No, that's true.
It has started, but we know, and this isn't the right way, but we know they love the attention, and we know there's probably a very good shot they're gonna pay, but they
Yeah.
could have got cheaper.
Yes.
Which
Which is the same problem with Lamb.
Yeah.
It was the same problem with Dak.
Yeah.
It's like you knew you were going to do this. Why didn't you just do it instead of waiting and it costing you more?
And losing Jordan Lewis today to the Jaguars, huge blow, especially Diggs being out next year. Big room guy. Probably one of the top nickels in the had a huge season last year, and now we're going to be missing Diggs for most of next year, of next season. You got Bland back, but question mark on the other side. Obviously Kalen Carson, but did not have the greatest rookie season. So now what do we do there? I mean, there's Will Johnson if he's even there at 12.
Yeah,
but could be now because Jaguars were a projected team for him, and now they have Jordan Lewis in there.
Yeah.
We have Janon Barron from UT if he's there, but I don't even know what we're planning at CB.
No, and the problem isn't who we're going to take at 12.
Yeah.
The problem is we have 8 holes with 6 picks, right? Like the math just doesn't math, right? Like they want to fill all these roles in the draft unless they make numerous trade backs to garner more picks. They just can't do it.
Yeah, it's not possible, and a lot of this is just, once again, waiting too long to pay, waiting too long to restructure. Some even going back to Micah could have been done even sooner, but the Cowboys don't do stuff like that like everybody else.
No, they don't.
They hit the snooze button on freaking everything.
Yeah, they definitely like to take a nap on things that would improve their team. You have
Remember that scene in The Rock where the air conditioner falls on the guy and kills him and he keeps kicking his leg?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like watching the Cowboys is like. They're already dead.
Yeah.
But they just twitch a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And then, Nicolas Cage gets upset and then Sean Connery says, "What do you want me to do? Kill him again?"
My favorite is, "It's you. You're the Rocket Man."
Get out of here.
But we're not the Rocket Man. We're not blasting off as well as we should. I mean, other than a few things. Although we signed our long snapper.
That's
to
a
Adele.
win.
Yeah,
That's a win.
Any move is a good move.
However,
right now.
today we did make a little bit of a movement in running back. We did sign Javonte Williams to a 1-year, $3 million deal. We were talking about before the show. Could have done that with Zach Moss last year, but that is last year.
Always 1 year late, right? That's their MO. I think that's a testament of just Jerry not doing his research at his job, right? Like he just doesn't.
You know many 90-year-olds that are spry enough to own and manage a football team?
I don't know. I do not. I don't know many 90-year-olds that can do anything.
Well, it's
Can't even wipe their own ass.
Javonte, 24 years old. Obviously, this is kind of in the realm of, I wouldn't put it at like Dalvin Cook, but definitely not your long. I mean, even though it's a year, like they're gonna obviously have to draft a running back. So
yeah, but I think it takes Gentry off the table for round 1.
I already think he's gone. Yeah. I think with the Raiders signing Geno and the Bears making all their O-line moves, I think one of those two teams, especially it makes sense with Ben Johnson, who unlocked Gibbs and Montgomery very well. So no, I don't think Gentry. I think if we're making any offensive moves, it's gonna be either Tet if he's there. Or an O-line if somebody like a Will Campbell or Calvin Banks Jr., who's great. I mean, if you're going to go, but I don't even think they're going to go O-line again.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. They tend to like O-line, and historically they're pretty good at drafting O-line. Like Guyton, outsider for Guyton.
He's a work in progress.
Jury's still out there, but normally they're pretty good at drafting O-line, which is Will McClay. It's not Jerry, right? Like Will McClay has some talent evaluation skills that really translate to offensive line, not necessarily defensive line. But
well, I'll say this: that 12 spot is so question mark now, as because we just mentioned the defensive holes, and you got a guy like Jalen Walker who could be there. Walter Nolan is someone that they've talked to, and you're looking at the line. Obviously, it seems like Tank's up there in free agency too, and obviously
which
you're
I
a
don't
lot
see him
older.
coming back.
I don't either. So a Walter Nolan, we should have Sam Williams back, but that might be the play, which he can join his old teammate Sam Williams. Or also maybe Mason Graham's there. One of, was it Kevin Grant also out of Michigan?
They love Michigan players.
Yeah, they do.
I'm a Michigan fan,
so
I get it.
So
But they love to draft Wolverines, which
It's a beautiful state.
If you ask me, like on defense, I kind of would love. I mean, if Will Johnson, speaking of, CB or Michigan, but I would love more of a Malachi Starks or a Jalen Walker or maybe a Kel Williams. Just because I would love another good edge right there. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
No, they definitely have a need for that position.
Yeah. Can they draft them all in
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry asked, but I think he'll be turned down.
You can't draft them all. You got to draft them all. Put them in the glory hole.
It's a good fake Jerry.
Thanks.
But, what would you, what would you do? Would you go defense or offense?
I think they have more needs on defense.
Yeah.
Because I understand the polarizing nature of Dak.
Yeah.
But
I need more clarification. What is the polarizing? What are you defining?
Well, now he's the number one. They just did a poll. He's now the number one athlete right now in Texas. So now with Luka gone, which we know that would have been, but AD's on that list.
Oh no.
Again, last year was a disaster across the board.
Yeah.
Dak did not play well before he got hurt. But normally Dak puts up pretty good stats.
I agree.
Right?
I have always been a proponent that Dallas fans don't remember what a bad quarterback was
They don't remember between Aikman and Romo.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, I can list them off.
They don't remember Quincy Carter, right?
Quincy Carter.
Vinny Testaverde,
Drew
Ryan
Bledsoe.
Leifert, Chad Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Anthony Wright.
Coming out. Yep.
There was a lot. It was, and here's the thing. I think people erase 2023 Dak, erase 2016, which overachieved. You could say there's a run game, but still, his durability, his mobility, his eye for the field was still great, especially how young there. 2018 Dak, went out and those were no slouch in those Seahawks.
No.
Beat them. Outperformed Russell Wilson in that game.
Very good games against the division, which is great, right? Like, you need that. If he just lost every time to the Eagles, which is not the case.
No, he has the best record against the Eagles.
He actually, does very well against them. So, Dak's not awful. Now, is he the best? Absolutely not. He has problems and issues, but you can do
put
worse.
Up similar numbers to top 5 quarterbacks.
He does, and also, if you want to say, I used to say Jalen Hurts, kind of a bit, there's can be similarities there. The thing is we've seen less quarterbacks win Super Bowls.
Have we, though?
Yeah. Brad Johnson.
One every 20 years?
Nick Foles.
One every 20 years?
Yeah, but Nick Foles was a lot more recent. But I'm saying though that people look at Dak as being the haters a lot less out of that. They see him outside of that top 10. And I'm like, well, how about this? Let's look at Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Still high interception rate. Mm-hmm. But what did they do to help him? Got Saquon. Yeah, we're always a half glass full.
Also, they have an unblockable play. You know what I mean?
Well, regardless of that, they went out, they got him A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. They went out, they got him a Saquon. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of the ball, they did a lot of things too.
Slay.
Yeah.
Go Birds.
So, I'm just saying, for the people out there, Dak sucks. I'm like, well, his numbers say otherwise. And 2, he still does a lot on a lot less.
When people walk up and say Dak sucks, I think they're lazy. That's the first
I think they don't watch anything but Cowboy games.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
You live in this market. I get that. But the 49ers losing to them twice in a row, they're a good team.
Yeah.
It's not like, I think one of those years we had a chance, the other one we really didn't.
Yeah.
But it's hard to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it really is. And the fact that Mahomes has been the most consistent, there's a reason.
Brady,
and Brady.
These are the quarterbacks that win.
Yeah.
Is he those guys? Absolutely not. And I don't know if he ever will be, right?
But you could put the team around, because I'm going to say this. I think Stafford is a great card, but we saw a lot of up and down in Lions, but then he went to a team that invested, spent all the money, went all in, and guess what? They won it. It's been a little struggle since. Still good team, but nowhere near with that 2021 team, and they put their chips. Unfortunately, we just talked about an owner, GM, that does not do that. Mm-hmm. So all I'm saying is, load it up like a baked potato if you can. Other teams do. We don't.
Yeah, and the problem with the Joneses, one of the problems is they talk to us like we're stupid.
Yeah.
right? Like, they talk to us like the cap's a thing. Yes, I understand the salary cap's a thing, but these numbers are posted. Like, I can do math. I understand you have room.
Yeah.
These other teams have to do it too, and they do. They do what they're doing. Like, don't just talk to me like I don't understand math, right? Like, I get it. Like, I understand.
I won't be talked down to
Yeah.
by people I'm paying.
Yeah. Get me fired from my radio show, right?
Well, let me ask you this on the point of that, because I've been thinking about this because we saw, Kenny Pickett go to the Browns today for Dorian Thompson. We're seeing quarterback carousel today. Sam Darnold is a Seahawk. Obviously, we mentioned Gino to the Raiders, Justin Fields to the Jets. What is Stephen came out about a week ago and said, Stephen Jones, that is, said, we look to draft a quarterback. Obviously it looks like Trey Lance thing. It's over.
Yeah.
Don't know about Cooper Rush. They haven't said, but it seems like there could be interest. What do you do behind that? Because this is his second, season-ending injury that he's coming off. We don't know. He's going to be 32 in July. A lot of these quarterbacks we're listing are top under 30. So obviously, the window is far more closing than it is opening. So what do you do there at quarterback behind him?
I assume they draft a quarterback mid to late rounds.
So like 5th round?
4th or 5th.
Well, we don't have, unfortunately,
we don't have a 4th.
Yeah, because we give up 4s.
The Mingo
Jonathan
trade.
Mingo, yeah.
Or the Lance. It was this year was one of those,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, last year was Lance, which could have had Bucky Irving.
Yeah. But they...
you would take him at 12.
Yeah. If he's there at 12, I'd entertain the thought, but he's not going to be, I don't think.
Oh, dude, come on.
I could still see, I've heard, maybe still could, even though the Fields come in, Jets or, the Giants maybe, but who knows what they're doing.
So I think Jerry is a very knows from experience kind of guy. And what happened with the Cowboys, they've literally gotten lucky twice.
Yeah.
With Romo and Dak.
Yeah.
Where they drafted them. And actually with Romo just after the draft, right? Undrafted free agent. So I think in his mind, he doesn't have to because we'll just find one later, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
So that's his experience.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
No.
But maybe. The Lakers tend to keep getting good players, right? So some of these franchises create their own luck. Jerry's not done anything to prove that he can, but 2 quarterbacks that late is pretty lucky.
You look
the
over
Browns would kill for that.
You see what the Niners did with Purdy, and I will say this: I'll throw out some potential names that could be in the 5th. I love mock drafts. Been doing it since November just because it was over. I was ready. I was ready for the draft.
Yeah.
Now this guy could be a sleeper in this draft. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks who could just fall possibly later. He could be a 4th round guy. He could be a 3rd. He could be 5th. Kyle McCord out of Syracuse is a guy to look at that something could be there for the Cowboys. And watching his tape, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, good arm.
Hey, I trust you.
Is he better than Shonner Sanders?
I think he has a higher ceiling for sure. But they're 2 different style of quarterbacks.
Sure.
So it's hard to say. It just depends on what they want in a quarterback for their system. Obviously mobility all around, but I like Kyle McCord's arm. Curtis Rourke out of Indiana is another one that could maybe.
I've heard of him, yeah.
And then there's Quinn Ewers.
Look,
so
I'm not a huge Longhorn fan. I guess
Yeah.
if I'm rooting for a team from the state, it would be the Longhorns. So I watched a little bit of Ewers.
Colt McCoy!
I understand he didn't have a great season, and his stock probably went down considerably, right, compared to where it was last year. But I still think the jury says he translates pretty well to the NFL. I haven't heard anything different. I don't know really what people are saying, but I haven't heard anything different from that. So if he's there in the 5th, you're drafting best player available, right? Because I think another issue the Cowboys get into with having so many holes, they have to draft for position more than best player available, and that really gets you in trouble because teams that
Sounds like
succeed.
you're always on your heels.
Although you
Yeah.
know who we got at 5th and 22, we got Deron Bland.
Yeah. No, I mean, Will McClay has some scouting ability that I do appreciate. I think overall they draft better than some teams.
Yeah.
Probably middle of the road. They probably don't draft as well as teams like the 49ers.
Yeah.
Patriots when Belichick was there, right? But every team has their misses, but Cowboys tend to draft pretty well, except for their Michigan guys, unfortunately.
But here's the thing. What's interesting is Dak is the last of that 2016 team, and I think Dak's the last of the Jason Garrett era. Now with Jordan
very true.
Lewis.
Yeah.
So they may draft, but keeping, is a different thing. But that's neither here or there because you look for now, you draft for now and see what happens.
Yeah.
But going back to the quarterback, whoever's best available. But, also, this isn't someone who's going to start right now. So maybe,
Yeah,
but,
depending on Dak's health,
yeah,
right?
but you could get a guy 6. The last quarterback we drafted was Ben DiNucci.
Yeah,
You
the
know.
Nooch.
And Mike White.
Yeah, when the Cowboys draft for best player available, they tend to do pretty well, which I think is, lines up with most teams, right? But they get Lamb because he's just sitting there.
Yeah.
They get Micah. He's just sitting there. So those, obviously, it's hard to miss on players like that. But when they draft for need, that's when they're missing. When they like, oh, I could have had, Jalen Smith or whatever the Eagles guy, defensive tackle, Jalen Carter, but I had to draft an interior lineman, so we took Mozzie, right? So they had to draft inside, and they missed.
How crazy would it be if they – now, this is not what I think should happen because they have a lot of – they do have a lot of need.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're looking for your future and do you do something crazy come up near top 3 now that you don't have a 4? And if you have a Dylan Gabriel, or maybe if you think Kyle McCord's worth a third, and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen next year with Dak. He's coming off a torn hamstring that he had to have surgically repaired.
That's right.
And
Pain matters.
you saw what happened when he went down and how it was hard with Cooper Rush, Trey, and maybe,
I think you only trade up for that quarterback on your board that you really love, right? If there is a quarterback that you trust your board, right?
Yeah.
And the deal's there, do it, because we've seen in football, it is more of a team sport than basketball. I think in basketball, like one player can drag you further than your team should go. Mm-hmm. In football, it's one player. We know who I was referring to, Tanner.
We're going to get there.
Yeah. But in football, it's one player as long as that player is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? Like, receivers don't drag your team further than they should. Defensive ends don't drag your team. Quarterbacks do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Mahomes, Brady, they do.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're going to forego quantity of picks for quality, it only has to be for a quarterback.
Yeah, and I would say if there's one that you would really draft for, in my opinion, or trade up for, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. I think he's the best one. To be honest, you want to say who's the best in there? I think he's been the more impressive.
His name is Jackson
Dart.
Jackson
Dart.
Jackson Dart.
Dart.
Jackson
yes.
Dart. Like,
What
He
a
was born
great
he was
name.
born to be a kid. Watch his highlights. This guy, just because it's been the Cam Ward, Shedeur, and I'm not saying you shouldn't like those guys either, but when I'm looking at accuracy and really arm talent and really like, okay, who's a blue who could come in maybe season 1, definitely by season 2, I look at Jackson Dart. I fell in love with I've been watching it since mid-season. I'm like, this is a guy. I know we're talking about Cam Ward and Shedeur, okay, but this is a guy. Just watch him.
Yeah, and he has I think there's 2 things that translate to the NFL. It's experience in college, like Division I,
yes,
and accuracy.
Exactly.
Right? Like, win-loss doesn't really translate,
No.
but if you're accurate on majority of your passes, at least 50%, and you have a certain amount of games played, you translate well. So someone like Trey Lance did not have either one of those.
No.
All he could do was run.
Yeah.
And you see what happens,
Yeah.
right? Like, that doesn't translate.
We misutilized him. We should have done like a Taysom Hill kind of or a Wildcat with him. So, But anyways, that's the past. But yeah, no, I mean those are some things. Just we'll move on from here. But I feel like we got the draft around coming up in April.
Yeah, I mean it'll be here. The NFL is so good at just staggering their calendar.
Yeah,
where you can't forget about them.
That's right.
We love our draft here with the Cowboys.
Baseball
that's what we
struggles
focus.
with that, but the NFL are masters at just you ain't forgetting about us.
Right? Yeah,
man. We'll come over here and watch the draft over here at this big old screen, man.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
So moving on from that, Tanner mentioned a player that is dear to all of our hearts. I know we're constantly talking about it, but there's reason why we're constantly talking about it, and we have somebody that's not one of us from the show that has opinions on it. So I want to hear, because I feel like this was an unforgivable offense by the Mavs, by Nico, by this front office. So Brandon, I want you to take it away, because we were talking about before. We're very passionate, and so we want to hear from other people than ourselves, because we've been talking about it. So take the floor, Brandon.
Well, truly, I don't think my opinions are going to differ much, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know anybody that's on board with it. I have one friend that tried to justify it as like, well, we're still going to be in contention. I'm like, I understand that. Like, we didn't get garbage back.
Yeah.
But you shrunk the window of success so much that by moving Luka, who took us to the finals last year, the only way for this to succeed is a championship.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's just, if you get to the finals again, it doesn't matter. Right? Like, so there's no room for improvement except a championship.
Yeah.
Right there, not smart.
Well, it won't be this season.
It ain't happening this season because we got a curse.
We got cursed. And the weather's been bad here in
Ruth.
Dallas. The weather's been so up and down.
Yeah. So my dad's not a huge sports fan, right? But he understood the magnitude of this, and he called me after the first game with the Lakers, right, where the Mavs played the Lakers, and Luka did things that no other player has ever done. No way, right? Because he does that every time, right? And he asked me, my dad's like, did you watch the Laker game last night? Which is funny because he worded it as the Laker game.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course I did. And I'm like, I will think about this trade every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, every day until the day I die, I will think about this trade because it was so bad.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned this to you earlier, but just imagine making a trade so bad that every human that read it was like, that's fake.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that's a
I
real
thought
thing.
it was.
Where were they
Everybody
chanting Fire Nico?
Oh,
We
yeah.
talked about it earlier.
Medieval times
Medieval times.
yesterday.
Yeah, medieval times.
It's been
The
a
Falconer.
month
This
and
is
everywhere.
the not like us basketball trades.
Bobby Belt, the fan, was at a House of Blues show and said there was Fire Nico chants. Like,
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with music.
Yeah, it's a fireable offense.
Obviously,
and it was
Mavs
immediately.
fans ride strong everywhere, but it's crazy.
But as much, I mean, look, me and Tanner and I have literally got into arguments out of town about how you should root for the team you grew up closest to.
Yeah.
Go Spurs in that series.
Yeah,
Which we're
like,
playing right
it's
now.
a
Spurs,
legitimate-
Mavs.
Legitimate argument we've gotten into before. This is the first time I've actually said I'm a Laker fan.
Yeah.
Because I've never had a team deliberately stab me in the back like this.
Yeah.
Man, it is aggressive, just treachery.
Well,
It was so sneaky, and he knew it was a bad trade because
Yeah.
he kept it a secret.
yeah.
If he really misjudged the fan outlash, he wouldn't have kept it a secret. He would have shopped him, but he kept it a secret, knowing this won't go well, but I have to do it.
I think his hands are tied.
I don't. I think it was a one-man thing. Well, and there's a lot of speculation that Jason Kidd knew.
Yeah.
I don't think Jason Kidd knew, but what I do think is Jason Kidd and Nico and probably Finley and other people would have conversations, and Kidd would probably express his frustrations with Luka, right?
Yeah.
And, like, behind closed doors, it was like, man, he's so difficult to deal with, which every superstar is.
And he's young.
And he's young, and he needs to get in shape. Okay, but he's young. So I think he fed Nico the bullets that proved that Kidd will be on board with this.
Yeah.
So when the news came down, I don't think Kidd was on board. He's like, I was kidding, right? Like, I wasn't going.
Also, I'm a coach.
like,
I can
serious.
talk about. I'm frustrated with this and that. That's my job.
Yeah,
But the guy led us to the
shouldn't
finals.
have taken me seriously,
Yeah.
right?
I would imagine the amount of potential in a person that you're not seeing realized
Yeah.
would instigate a frustration in somebody.
So, I think there's a lot of things that go into it. I think the whole conspiracy moved the team to Vegas. It's not true. The NBA would never let that happen, right?
Incorrect. I think that's true.
Just like we got Dion.
This is
We're going to get Dion and Shador.
this is
We're
not,
moving the team to Vegas.
This is not the plot of the movie Major League, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not.
Great movie.
Because we're not Cleveland,
No,
right? Like
yeah.
we're DFW. They wouldn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think the Dumonts or Patrick Dumont had any idea of basketball, right? So
No, they don't.
Nico pitched this idea, also knowing it was bad.
Yeah.
So he didn't loop anybody else in. And I think I use this analogy to Tanner, right? And our buddy Zach. So there's this old saying, right? Like, no matter how hot she is,
Yeah.
some guy's tired of banging her. And I think that's kind of. Is this a PG?
You
No,
heard
no,
it
no,
here-
no, no,
You heard it
no,
here
I love
first,
that.
ladies.
Oh no, this. That was a PG answer.
Yeah.
Question or
Yeah.
follow-up.
Yeah, I
Can
tried to
answer
make it as
that
PG
if
as
you want.
Compared to
possible.
what we have on
Yeah.
here.
But, and I think that's what happened here. I think Nico let his frustration, his small annoyances bother him to a point where he made a mountain out of a molehill, right?
Well, boy, aren't you just amplifying just the insecurities of a small man?
Yeah, so I think this would be the equivalent of, do you know who Colin Jost is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know who he's married to?
Oh,
Yeah.
good old Black
yeah,
Widow.
Yeah,
Scarlet
so
Johansson.
this would be like
What a lucky
if
man.
Colin Jost went to Michael Che
Yeah.
and was like, hey man, I think Scarlett, I'm going to get a divorce from Scarlett.
Yeah.
And Michael Che would be like, what are you talking about? He's like, man, sometimes when she drinks, she snores.
Yeah.
And I sometimes have stuff to do the next day.
Yeah.
And it bothers me. And Michael Che will be like, that's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, well, I've already sent her the papers. I probably should have told her, right?
Yeah.
And Michael Che's going to be like, well, this is stupid. And he's like, yeah, but it's already done. What's Jennifer Aniston doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like, nothing wrong with Jennifer Aniston. But it's 15 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Scarlett Johansson.
It's not
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, right? So that's kind of the equivalent here. It's like he just got so annoyed that he couldn't deal with it. I saw, I think it was Mike Leslie or somebody, I don't want to misquote, so edit that out. Somebody
We misquote all the
Yeah,
time.
that's not what we do here.
somebody
We're
made,
drinking, so we have a pass.
made an analogy that said, or not analogy, but the correlation that Nico used to play basketball, right?
Yeah.
And he was just never that good. He used to play professionally in Europe, and I'm sure he tried really hard, right?
Hey, man, I'm glad he tried
Yeah,
really hard.
but I'm sure he like kept at pure fitness, watched everything he ate all the time, and then he got it with Nike and he met Kobe, who has this Mamba mentality, right? That watched everything he ate and took everything so serious. So I think Luka was the first person that he met in basketball that didn't really have to try that hard. Like Luka doesn't have to try. He's
No.
just so good. And I think that really, you said it a minute ago, insecurity as a small man. Like, I think it really bugged Nico that he had to try so hard and he didn't make it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That this guy doesn't even have to try hard, and it kind of just made him mad, right?
Yeah.
He kind of let it personally take over the talent that Luka has. I literally watched Luka destroy two franchises that have not rebounded.
I know.
Like, do you think Phoenix fans have nightmares about Luka? 100%.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Minnesota fans have nightmares about Luka?
Hell yeah, dude.
Can't handle it.
I
right?
think
They hate
Oklahoma
him.
City too, a little bit.
Oklahoma
but
City,
they have the ceiling
yeah,
high. Yeah.
They didn't get destroyed as much because
No,
they've
but-
rebounded as a little bit more. But those other two, Phoenix and Minnesota, haven't rebounded.
No.
Like they literally, Luka destroyed them.
Yeah.
And everybody talks about Luka's defense. It's bad. He's not a great one-on-one defender, but his ability to read passing lanes is unmatched. So he gets a lot of steals by that, right? Which there's a lot of guards in this league that are not one-on-one defenders, by the
Yeah.
way. A lot. They're not all LeBron or Kobe.
Well, and you
Can
look.
anybody be? Like,
I mean-
I always feel like whenever we make comparisons, I feel like you should throw like a, you know, Jerry Stackhouse or something out there. So there's like, hey, are they?
But Luka's better than that. Luka's
Yeah.
S tier.
I
Like he
totally
is
agree.
S tier superstar.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if you look where we're at now with the Mavs, Kyrie's out till next January. I mean, everyone's hurt. Everyone's hurt.
Yeah.
But this is a time. This is where, I mean, we talked about this before the show. We pretty much had a pre-podcast. But this is where Luka does his best carrying. I mean, imagine
Yeah.
still going to the playoffs with Luka, Clay,
Yeah.
Max well, not Max Christie,
That
but
team that beat Phoenix 3
Yeah.
years ago,
yeah,
they were not good.
yeah,
And they had Luka.
yeah.
And he outscored Phoenix in a half, right? That's what he does. Anthony Davis can put up a lot of numbers, but he's a Robin. He's
Yeah.
LeBron's Robin. Kyrie is LeBron's Robin. Clay is Steph's Robin. We put a team together full of Robins, which
Well-
is good. They might be the best Robins ever besides Pippen,
Yeah.
but you can't win in this league without Batman, and you traded Batman.
Well, speculation, just speculation, rumor mill, it always goes around. Kevin Durant out there, something's going to happen with him.
He's 40.
I know. We're going to be an old team
Yeah.
at that.
I'm sorry, we're talking about getting Kevin Durant.
It's
Yeah, there's
speculation, rumor.
rumors.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
However, here's one thing, and I don't know if this would heal things. Obviously, this
It
is
won't.
hypothetical. No, not that. Us getting we're going to get the first pick. And I saw a funny meme of like, yeah, we'll just get the first pick and trade him when he's in his prime to like the Celtics.
Yeah.
Which would be Cooper out of Duke.
Yeah, Cooper
Possibly.
Flag.
Yeah, Cooper Flag, who is the star. But, I mean, once again, you would have to win that lottery. I don't know that we're even close to it.
So we're not.
You know.
We'll be, if we don't make the play-in, we'll literally have the worst odds. So
Yeah.
I said this in my group text the other day. Based on how the Mavs luck has been going
Yeah.
since this Luka trade for
Yeah.
the past 5 weeks, here's how our luck will be. We play Memphis on the last game of the season. And our luck is we will beat them and get into the play-in. And then Luka plays, I think it's Sacramento
Yeah.
on the last day of the season. And my guess is he'll hit a 3 to win that game
Yeah.
and swap us where we get into the play-in and Sacramento does not.
Yeah.
And then they win the draft lottery in a position we should have had. That's how
Great.
it'll go. We'll get in the playoffs and get destroyed by Phoenix
Yeah.
in the,
Or the play-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Portland, not Sacramento, by the
Yeah.
way. But either way,
Either
right?
way.
Whoever doesn't get it will win the lottery that is the spot we should have
the
had.
Kurtz will keep going.
Yeah. And we'll get destroyed by 60,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And get nothing.
It's terrible. We should all have like stomach bug that day.
I'll call in.
I'm telling you, every day for the rest of my life, I'll
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Ugh.
it's so bad.
It is really bad.
It's the worst breakup
But
of
you
all
know
time.
what? We'll move on from that break. And let's talk about some two teams that have been positive. First, Dallas Stars, though.
Love it.
Showing that they're all in, which I already thought when they got Mikhail Granlund. And, like, I was like, all right. And then
CC, Cody CC,
Yes,
yeah.
Cody CC. And then, because we're sitting in here, well, they need offense. No, they need defense. And we'll get them both. We'll
Yeah,
get them both.
yeah.
And then already on a tear, especially at home. And then this past Friday,
Yeah.
last Friday, they went all in and got one of the top
Like a
left
top 10
wings,
player.
top 10 left wing.
Yeah.
And Mikko Rantanen out of Carolina, 8 years. Also extended Wyatt Johnson, by the way, on top of that.
Same agent, but yes.
Yes, I know. But it's so great. And, like, Jim Nail's like, you know what?
If we're talking, might as well talk about this. So I hate the fact that Mikko Rantanen
Yeah.
is so close to Nico Harrison.
Oh, I know.
It really annoys me.
He's the better of the.
Yeah, like their names are so.
Fire Nico.
Yeah, but all in move, I loved it.
It is great. And, I mean, you know, I know it's sad, you know, moving on from Logan, but I always felt like Logan would be in this kind of position possibly, just because Mikko right now, this team's a win now.
Yeah, and Stankhoven, from what I've been hearing, you know, and I listen to certain sports stations that do talk about the Stars.
Yeah.
And what they've said, I mean, I have some friends that have talked about it too, is he has great upside, but
Yeah.
where he is, he may not, his size is always going to be a little bit of a hindrance.
Yeah.
So he's a great trade chip for something like this.
Yeah, and I mean, if Mikko's there, you had to do, and they did it. And they did a great deal once again, 8 years.
Thank you.
Even Miko said this, and he realized the Stars have been so close, back-to-back conference, but they needed that one extra, and I feel like Miko can be that guy, has the Stanley Cup, just pure veteran. Still, 28, 29 years old, so.
Yeah, and I mean, we've run into those buzzsaws the past couple of years with, Connor McDavid last year, right? Like, we didn't have that.
No.
Which, just watching Connor McDavid play, you're like, that's why he's special, right?
Yeah.
We have really good players, Rope, Miro, love them. Wyatt Johnson now, love them. They're great. But they don't have that next gear. And I think this guy might be the closest to that we have, right? So this is a very complete Stanley Cup contingent team.
It is. I think it's the best team on paper we've had, and I felt like last year was pretty good, and then we just keep. And here's the thing: I was telling someone the other day, after that St. Louis Blues conference loss, we kept looking to improve. The next season we brought in veterans like Dobby, and then obviously we go out, we get Duchesne, obviously we bring in Pavelski, and the list goes on. We are never stagnant. We just keep doing what is necessary.
I remember that Wild series a couple of years ago, and I hated Dumba. But now I'm just like, okay, Dumba.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. But and I like what Jim Nill does there because unlike the other two teams we've talked about so far, they have obviously not let losing bother them. Right, where it does seem like Jim Nill is like, hey, we lost, let's get better. The Cowboys don't look at it that way for some reason, and the Mavericks I thought did, but that was undone in 5 minutes.
There's an expectation in the Cowboys administration that they're already good, and that they don't need to do anything to make themselves better.
They believe that people
I agree with that.
just
That's the
show
first
up.
thing you've said in a long time I agree with, but I agree
Hey,
with
all
it.
right, good
Well,
talk.
also I think they just the confidence of people are still going to buy. They're going to buy in, even though I will say going to most of a lot of the home games, seeing 40% of visitors was concerning, especially of franchises that don't have a big base here.
Yeah, but he doesn't care because he's as long as the seat's sold, he didn't care.
Well, and the season ticket holders still show up.
As
They
bad
don't
of
sell it.
as bad of a GM as he is, he's really good at marketing.
Oh no! I mean,
Keep talking, man.
The false hope, and then it doesn't. And also you have other outlets and stuff too. You get those early ESPN betting odds that we're up in there.
Yeah, Vegas understands how the betting goes.
Yeah. It's fun. All right, well, we'll move on from the Stars. Stars.
Well, we actually got back on the Cowboys.
Oh,
so
I know.
unfortunately.
See, this is why he knows. It's programmed.
Yeah.
But anyways, and Stars have a big win last night over Vancouver. So moving forward to another team that does it right with the front office, and we're in spring training. We're excited.
Favorite time of year.
Texas Rangers.
Baseball season is the best.
I know you're glued to it.
Baseball
Take it away.
season
What
is the
excites
best.
you? What are some of the moves leading up to now that really excite you? And what do you think about going into this 2025 season?
So now we're in my wheelhouse.
Yes. That's why we got it.
The Rangers are my team. Love the Cowboys. Did love the Mavs. Jury's out on that. And I love the Stars. But baseball and the Rangers, that's my bread and butter. So I like where this team's at this year. I think it's okay to admit we overachieved a little bit in 2023. Like, we hit a nice playoff run, which teams in any sport do that all the time, and you should never apologize for it because it was awesome. And I will not apologize for it because it was.
No apologies
but it's okay
here.
to admit it, right? Like, because we probably did, right?
Yeah.
And we probably regressed a little too much last year because we're probably somewhere in the middle. Like, we had a lot of injuries last year, so I foresee this being a playoff contending team. I don't think the Astros are going to be as good, and I say this every year. I think Seattle's going to be better. Maybe their rotation's pretty stacked, but the division is winnable for this Rangers team.
Yeah.
The lineup could mash.
Yeah.
If you're batting Berger sixth,
What a beast.
that's impressive.
You
right?
were comparing him to Mike Napoli, kind of.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very likable team.
Yeah.
Similar to your 2010, 2011, 2012 Rangers, where you had those just lovable. Josh Hamilton, with all his craziness, was still likable. Kinsler was likable. And then they had this player, Mike Napoli, who was never like the best player, but people loved him because he just looked like a guy you'd party with, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, like you just like, I want to have a beer with that guy, and he hits bombs
Cheers
sometimes.
to that. Cheers to that.
Yes.
He hits bombs sometimes, right? And then it changed.
That was such a great era of
It was
Rangers
just
fandom.
fun. It was so much fun.
I took
We had
second in my
the
baseball
claw
league.
and the antlers
Yeah.
Yeah.
and all that.
I
Oh,
took
boy.
second in my fantasy, and I cooled off from it because I had Mike Netflix.
Yeah, like loved him. But then it changed in like 2018, 2019,
Yeah.
where that team just wasn't that likable. You had
Yeah.
players like Gallo, which he hit a lot of home runs, but he didn't like really embrace this fun player.
Man, you get a lot of stoic motherfuckers
Yeah.
in baseball.
But I think Berger is the one that this year I think you're going to really like him. You're
Yeah.
going to be like, that's a fun guy. His last name's Berger,
Berger,
which
yeah.
is fantastic.
Who ordered a love
There's
burger?
also a guy in, I think, the Pirates organization right now with the last name Beer.
Oh, burger
And-
and beer would be fun.
And I've tried to get both of them on my fantasy baseball team at the same time for
Hell
years,
yeah.
just because I think that's hilarious.
Hell yeah.
It's never worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think he'll be fun. I think a player like Jock, he's a
Yeah.
12-year veteran. Any baseball fan kind of knows his bag.
Yeah.
But he's a great room guy, and he'll be fun, and he'll hit some bombs, right? Strike out a lot, but he's going to hit some bombs. So we're going to mash. I think Langford's going to have a great sophomore season because it took him a little bit to figure it out last year. But once he did, I think he's going to keep that up. Hopefully Evan Carter's back healthy. Back's always scary, but I think that spring training's looking good for him. DeGrom looked great. I think
I was going to
you
say,
mentioned that earlier.
I think one of the best pitching weapons out there. if
Yeah,
healthy.
I mean, if healthy, I don't know anybody that stacks against him.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the injuries history will hold up, but we
Yeah.
were talking earlier. I'm
Yeah.
like, has anybody ever had 3 Tommy Johns? I don't know if
Let's
that's a
don't start
thing.
now. Yeah, I know. I don't think
Yeah.
you can. I don't know.
Mercy.
I'm no
Yeah.
doctor, no medical.
Yeah,
but
so
feels
he's
very-
had 2. He could get hurt in other ways. Knock on wood, he doesn't, right?
Put
But
him in a bubble.
I mean, at that point, you're running out of tendons. Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm
Running out
saying.
of-
Well,
You need like a pig tendon to
Yeah.
strap on your.
So I think there will definitely be some inning restrictions,
Yeah.
pitch limit restrictions, obviously, but that's to be expected.
yeah.
But I think they're going to be pretty scary. I think the Astros could digress a little bit. You know, they don't have Tucker anymore
Well,
or
Yankees had
Bregman.
an injury today.
Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not,
that's
not
a tough
good
one.
Of course, losing Juan Soto too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
What's the deal with those guys?
They've had a bad spring training.
yeah, they've
The
had
Yankees.
injuries. I think Cole's out.
Cole,
Right.
he got a second opinion today,
Yeah.
and both opinions said Tommy John, so
Yeah,
he's done.
He's done.
18
Oh
months.
yeah, 18
That's
months.
maybe 12, but probably
Still not good.
closer
Are
to
you
18.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
18
Yeah.
months.
Stanton's gone half the year. Not that he's what he was,
Yeah.
but they lost Soto. Judge is still raking, but their lineup looks pretty shaky right now.
Yeah.
Not that this is a Yankee podcast or anything, but they're not. They're going through it.
Well, we're just talking about overall the conference and like how things stack up.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The one team that's always in the mix, great season, Orioles, and then that postseason is just.
They're having trouble putting it together.
Yeah,
But
yeah, great. They're kind of like the Cowboys of,
well, the difference is they got a lot of young talent.
Well, yeah, we got
Like,
that. But
Gunner and
just the
yeah.
luck of
Yeah.
there's such a good regular season, and I love Gunner. I love watching him play.
Gunner, Holiday needs to step it up.
Yeah.
But Rushman, like they're very young. I think they're going to do some damage there. I think
Yeah.
Boston will be pretty good in the East. Tampa's weird because their stadium is gone.
I know. Finally.
So how's that going to affect them? Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think a sleeper team in the AL though is Kansas City
Yeah.
because I think Witt is maybe the best player in baseball behind Ohtani.
Great.
And then adding somebody like Jonathan India, which I really like. Cole Reagans, like we had him,
Yeah.
right? Now, I don't regret that trade because it got us Chapman.
Yeah.
And he was a piece that we needed to win that World Series. So it's one of those trade for now, and then we'll squint our eyes and hope in the future, and it's not turning out great for us because he's a legit ace. But you know, I don't regret it.
Well, you know, it seems like the AL could be pretty open. NL still seems like the Dodgers could be the Dodgers show. You know, as much as it pains us.
That's definitely what the MLB
I am a huge Ohtani stan.
Yeah.
Like,
no. I think
Ohtani.
it's great. And I mean, I think they have set themselves up for long-term success, and it's fun to watch. And he's going to pitch right now. He's good and clear.
He's supposed to pitch this year, yes.
Which is even greater.
Yeah.
So
they have basically a 6 or 7 man rotation though. So
I am a little ignorant. Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch and DH.
Yes.
Yeah, he's done it.
Yeah.
He was nicknamed like Babe Ruth before.
I knew that was what he was doing before, but like after he got hurt, I was like, what's his future going to be?
So
he's one of a kind,
late
man.
2023, he blew out his elbow and had to have surgery. And it basically took a year off his pitching, but he was still able to bat. So he just exclusively DH last year, which is got a 50-50 season. It was amazing, and I loved every second of it. But he didn't pitch last year, but he was pitching up through 2023 until he got hurt.
Insane.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Completely insane.
He's a freak.
My favorite player of all time.
And they also
Love
got
him.
everybody's most sought-out player of the dance.
Roki?
Too. Yeah.
His slider's legit.
So, I mean, it's you know, going to be a tough one for the NL, I feel.
Yeah.
So, anything's possible, but that's a tough one.
I think the Padres will be okay, and the Giants will be okay, but that division is the Dodgers to lose.
Yeah.
The East, the Mets will be better if Soto obviously lives up to his paper.
They got it, 15 years.
Yeah. And then the Braves, once they get
feels like a
back.
Bobby Bonilla situation.
The Central is a little different because I don't think there's a clear winner. I think the Brewers probably still.
I was going to say the Brewers have just been right there all the time. They've kind of been in the same spot the Orioles have been.
Yeah.
You know.
But I do, if my favorite non-Ranger is Ohtani, my second favorite non-Ranger is Ellie.
Yeah.
I love Ellie. Ellie's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, just any home run he hits is just a monster.
Yeah.
And I like it. So.
Well, it's almost here.
Dude, I can't wait.
Around
I
the corner.
Did you already
off
have
today.
your fantasy baseball draft?
It was last weekend for round 1 and then yesterday for round 2.
So what do you do? Like major for people that aren't in the know.
Yeah.
Brandon, tell me about your fantasy baseball league.
This is the most boring thing anybody listening will find, but I'll go in depth because I spend a lot of time on it.
All right, slam this
give me
conversation.
the elevator pitch on your.
It's a dynasty league with a 40-man roster, 20 hitters, 20 pitchers, and a up to 20, but between 13 and 20 minor league system.
Oh my God.
So we actually have a farm system on our team. It's a blind auction every year for players that come off contract, so you're able to sign players up to 5 years. We have a hard cap at $225,000.
Yeah.
And you have to stay under that.
Yeah.
So you can sign players for, like I signed Freddie Peralta this year for $14,000 for 5 years, right? So it was escalating values where like the first year was 80%, the second year was 90, third year was 100, and then year 5 was 120. We've done away with that just to make it a little easier.
Yeah.
But you just got to stay under the cap. It makes trading, like me and my buddy Jamie, like that's literally all we do. Is I talk to 3 people on the phone in this day and age, my parents and Jamie when we talk about fantasy baseball. It's ridiculous. He called me, he's like, working on any trades? I'm like, always.
Yeah.
Always. That's
You're
all I'm doing.
a trade maniac.
Yeah,
You're
I
always
love it.
asking about trades.
Love it. It's fun. It's the art of the deal, right? It's just trying to, like, just work the best scenario possible.
That's perfect.
People get so mad. People in my league are so mad at us all the time.
Well, I say this to get to you're in a fantasy football league with me.
Yes.
I am the commissioner of this league, and my job is to make it fun, not to be good.
And it's the most appropriately named league.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to bring this. I hope the people watching can see this. If you're on Apple Music, you're not going to see this. But congratulations,
Wow.
Brandon Kerr.
I like that.
For winning the Kapowski Bowl.
You're the champ. It's here.
First crush, right?
That's
Tiffany
right.
Amber Thiessen, Kelly Kapowski.
I think this is year 10.
Kelly, if this gets back to you, we have created a league in your honor.
That's right. You have
and watch
owned
Pouring Takes
this
podcast.
3 times.
Yes,
Now.
first 3-time winner.
Wow.
That's right. You won
What's
the
up?
first
The
2.
champ.
First 2
Had a little slump.
had a little slump,
do you
about
have-
half a decade.
Do you have a message you want to say? You want a speech?
Yeah.
Oh, the champ.
Speech. I did not prepare a speech. I want to thank Keith for trading me Saquon. That was amazing. Really appreciate that. I want to thank Tanner. What are we doing?
He's putting it on the shoulder, the
Yeah.
champ's shoulder there.
I want to thank Tanner for trading me CD Lamb. Really, y'all just gave the championship to me. But
My
I'll
job
take it.
as commissioner is to make the league fun, not to win.
No thanks to Bill.
Yeah,
No, Bill.
fuck Bill.
Yeah, Bill's all right. I like Bill, but his team actually finished with a better regular season
Yeah.
record than me. But I was like, "There's no way that he can
He
beat me in
was
the playoffs."
the other contender in
He
this
was.
league.
He was. Like, he only had 1 loss. I had 2. Just random week where I had a lot of buys and somebody's team went off, right? But in the playoffs, smoked him.
Wow.
Wasn't even close.
Boom. Got him. Got him.
So
Well, that belt
Got
looks great
him.
on you.
yes, sir. I like
champ.
it. I like it. Now, if I can only win my fantasy baseball league, which I've been trying for 13 years, and
Yeah.
it's eluded me,
That's tough, man. You got 60 people to worry about
I
at all
I
times.
get so mad.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason an adult should take it so serious as I do, but I do, and I'm embarrassed sometimes. because
Well,
I get so
congratulations. I know.
Congrats.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Zach was our previous winner. He won 2 years
He did
in a
win back
row.
to back.
All right. He was a back-to-back. Okay.
And then, honestly, he probably would have won this year if he was able to keep his team. But as a bad commissioner, I messed up everybody's keepers, so we started anew. But at least we're not on my fantasy league anymore. Thank God.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if he would have won. My team was
Hey.
pretty stacked.
Your team was pretty stacked, especially after the trades you got this year.
I mean, Keith traded me Saquon for Amari Cooper before the
Wow,
year
all
started.
right.
And I think it was because he's a real hardcore Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
So as somebody that's played fantasy
He's a bigger
long
homer
enough,
than you are.
I can tell when people just will do things they probably shouldn't
Yeah.
based on personal feelings.
Yeah.
There are certain people that will be like, I don't want an Eagle on my team.
Yeah.
I will
Not
take
me.
advantage of that.
Give me Saquon.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was his reasoning. Maybe he just felt he spent too much on it.
Yeah.
I can't speak for it because I really haven't talked to him about it because I feel like there's nothing to say.
Yeah.
But that was my feeling is he just said, I don't want an Eagle. I'll take this deal. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
You did it.
Yeah.
You did it. Way to go.
Congrats again, man. Cheers to that.
Yes,
Cheers.
sir.
Basket. Cheers. Cheers.
Kapowski
Cheers,
Bowl.
man.
Again.
Kapowski Bowl.
Tiffany, if you watch this.
Well, Brandon, I want to thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining us
man.
here,
Charlie,
being our,
this was
being our
fun.
guest anytime, especially come baseball season. We'd love
Yeah,
to have
invite
you
me back. Yeah.
Pick your brain, see how everything's going.
I hope I didn't hog all the
No,
the
No, man,
conversation.
you
we
did,
love
you
it.
did exactly
We're,
what you were supposed to do.
I know you're on Instagram. Where can people find you?
Oh shit, I don't know. Hang on. I don't know what my handle is. I'll figure this out real quick. Vamp for me here.
All right, we're
All right.
vamping.
Yeah, well,
Guys, if you have an advertising opportunity that you would like to share with us here at Pouring Takes, we are happy to hear it. We are happy to negotiate whatever's on your mind. You got an event, you want us to come out and commentate, you got it. You want us to hawk your product, come on in here, spend 10 minutes with us. We're going to have a good time.
Look at this selfie
and
right here.
also, we should have said this in the beginning. Monday nights, Thursday nights, you have billiards, you have poker, you have trivia now on Thursday, you have karaoke with our guy over here, Tanner.
That's
Throw
right.
it back Wednesday.
And in fact, St. Patrick's Day Saturday coming up, I'm going to be here from 2 to 6.
Nice.
Running
Throwing it down.
karaoke, baby.
So we're gonna hear some Dropkick Murphys.
Hell yeah, dude.
Some
I'm
real big
shipping up
fish.
to
Flock
Boston,
and
some
Molly.
real big fish. The
Yep.
biggest time.
Hell
Heck
yeah.
yeah.
And then every other Friday there is live music here as well. So come on down, and there's brunch. Come check out brunch.
Yep. Well, I found that handle. It's bkerr, BKERR 2887.
Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram, yes.
Slide into his DM.
Slide into my DMs. And I have
Later,
44
dudes.
text messages.
Thank
What the
you.
hell?